As Donald Trump struggled to reach Davos after his Air Force One plane had to turn back after a reported emergency, all eyes were on the global forum. But the real games were being played around 2,300 miles away.
I think a lot of Americans wonder, why does Greenland matter?
We need Greenland.
It's cold as here.
The acquisition of Greenland.
We have to have it.
Right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not.
We need Greenland.
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will.
The world's largest non-continental Greenland is almost bang in the middle of the continents of North America and Europe, making it perfectly placed for this bizarre tug of war playing out. Remember when we called it a game? Well, this high-stakes match may be a team sport, but it has more than two players. The American president seems to have developed an insatiable hunger for Greenland. He claims it is for national security. The problem? It belongs to an ally.
In a letter to Norway's Prime Minister, released by the White House on Monday, Trump said that after being denied the prize, he no longer felt an obligation to think purely of peace. He added that the world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Many longtime allies of the US remained resolute that Greenland was not for sale, but encouraged Washington to discuss solutions. The White House has not ruled out using force to take control of Greenland. Greenlanders have responded with mass protests, saying the territory is not for sale.
Greenland is an autonomous territory of the Kingdom of Denmark, a NATO nation. Now, Donald Trump alleges Greenland has become a playground for Russian and Chinese players, both considered threats and competition by the US-led Western Bloc. Both Moscow and Beijing seem to have washed off their hands from this wild Western drama. The thing is, this game can have more than one winner. Whether Donald Trump goes all out and declares war on Greenland, or America's European allies manage to weather the storm, China has what others don't: an opportunity. The Americans have long viewed the Chinese as a threat, and in Trump's previous presidency, his then Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, had flagged the threat of a new South China Sea around the North Pole. On the other hand, experts and Chinese policy documents make hardly any mention of Greenland as a goal. However, Beijing has long tried to get its claws into Greenland. The US military presence on the Danish island, coupled with the massive natural resources, likely light up the fires of competition. In 2018, a Chinese state-owned company's plan to expand Greenlandic airports was blocked. Then, in 2020, another Chinese was blocked from buying an abandoned naval base. All this reportedly under US pressure. China is no joke, though. Chinese investors made up for over 10% of Greenland's foreign direct investment from 2012 to 2017. Greenland has also sought to get more Chinese investments to help tap into its mineral resources, something in which is a global China. A 2018 Chinese government white paper also floated the idea of a polar Silk Road as part of Xi Jinping's favorite Belt and Roads initiative. Then in October of 2025, a Chinese container ship docked in Suffolk, with many calling it as the first step towards the polar Silk Road. It marked the first time a ship traveled from China to Europe via the Northern Sea route near Russia's Arctic coastline. Donald Trump has done this earlier as well, with his sweeping tariffs humiliating Canada by calling it an American state, pressuring India by backing Pakistan's claims, spreading misinformation against South Africa from the White House itself, and the general disdain for other nations in the Americas. In all these cases, nations looked to other options, and with Russia embroiled in a war of its own making, China scored. In a dramatically unexpected turn of events, after Trump's first wave of tariffs hit, regional competitors, New Delhi and Beijing, seemed to make big moves towards enhancing cooperation. Canada, one of the USA's closest allies, reset ties with China with its leader Carney, talking about a new world order. These are just some of the many ways the dragon seems to be rebranding itself. Consider this. When asked about Donald Trump's Greenland goals, China's foreign ministry gave a very measured response. But in between the lines, a lot was said. Remember, for years, China and debt traps were synonymous. In 2026, though, the Xi Jinping regime seems to be making a clear shift towards posturing itself as a responsible global power while somehow holding on to the problematic and expansionist so-called One China principle. The storm whipped up by Donald Trump even managed to overshadow a possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan. While tensions in Asia rose, the Western Hemisphere took it one step further, practically scripting the collapse of possibly the strongest military alliance this world has ever seen. And its architect? Donald J. Trump. But possibly its greatest beneficiary? The crouching tiger